Copa's big all-star witness comes in to testify against Dr. Wright today in the Satoshi identity trial, day 16. Was it a bust or was it a huge slam dunk for Copa? Well, stand by to the end. We'll find out as we recap on the entire day. So first, we started out with a rather surprising motion, actually an application that had been filed and submitted to the court by Mr. Orr and Lord Gavin for the team, Dr. Wright, Craig Wright. So what they asked was to get permission from the court to submit an additional expert witness report and rebuttal evidence to the Copa side. And one of the things that's been lacking the most from Dr. Wright is rebuttal evidence to the expert witness reports. Apparently, according to the Wright testimony, the case had been hijacked, I guess, from the inside by Christian Eger-Hansen, according to Wright's testimony, and he had stormed into the office. This is actually Mr. Madden, Stephen Matthews' testimony as well, that he stormed into the office at Enchain, raided the place, took a bunch of files, kicked everyone out while he was CEO at Enchain, and then was fired. And he was the one in charge of hiring these expert witnesses. And so there's just a mess of injunctions filed against Mr. Eger-Hansen right now that are pending before the other courts. They're actually been issued. Temporary restraining orders is what Mr. Matthews testified to, and potentially permanent injunctions. Apparently they're temporary right now, but that's been issued telling him to stop. And so that's come out. And now what's significant is this first application that now is being submitted and potentially considered by the court is a new expert report. That sounds like the court is yet, it's not quite whether or not the court's going to consider that. At the end of the day, they wrapped on it. What happened was, but it's something new. It's definitely something new in the case, new and exciting in the case. There could be a new expert that will be considered in this case. There's also an additional application that was heard by Lord Graviner. This was at the end of the day, and I'll just cover it real quick right now. Lord Graviner for Dr. Wright's side, he brought in some new evidence as well regarding screenshots of a MyOp accounting software, which Copa claims Entier, which is Dr. Wright's former solicitors, had not provided login details until March 2020, but apparently, according to the emails and the screenshots that were submitted to the court today, it was actually in 2019, according to Ramona Watts, Dr. Wright's wife, who submitted a forwarded email to Alex Partners, former solicitor for Dr. Wright, and Entier, which they had received the logs of these MyOb screenshot accounting live site responses from Wright back in 2019. So it contradicted some of the facts there that needs to be considered by the court, or may be considered by the court. Jonathan Hoff for Copa, he got up and didn't have any objections to it yet because it was brand new and just submitted, and he basically was just served the papers today. So it's something that will probably be discussed tomorrow at opening, and whether it's going to be considered and whether this new expert is going to be considered by Wright or not. So it's rather substantial on that. But now let's go to the big all-star witness for Copa, because today was their big day. They had their main witness coming in, which the guy's name was Mr. Patrick Michael Madden. Young guy, maybe in his 30s, I'd say, came up and seemed fairly polished, seemed pretty professional. He was sworn in, and of course by the court, and then Mr. Orr for the right side began questioning him as the barrister. Now, what happened here was, so Madden testified that he reviewed 500 copies of documents that were not in an ideal source for forensic analysis. Madden also agreed that the environment of the documents that they were stored in are important, however, not considered in his reports. And he also testified that timestamps can be interpreted in different ways. So Madden also admitted that Dr. Wright's machines were complex on multiple machines and potentially accessed by staff. He also admitted that the opening Enterprise, that he did not open the Enterprise version of Grammarly. You remember like a week or two back, this whole Grammarly thing came out where Mr. Madden, Wright was testifying that they probably just used some basic version of Grammarly and they probably didn't use the Enterprise version, and therefore they couldn't even access the proper format. Madden testified today he didn't access the Enterprise version of Grammarly. He didn't think it was relevant. He also admitted that he's not an expert in PGP keys. And here's the big drop, hammer drop. Madden admitted that he did not draft the expert reports. He dodged this. He dodged and dodged. He admitted that a gentleman by the name of Tristin, perhaps a paralegal or an attorney, a solicitor over there at Bird & Bird, did most of the drafting on a total of between 6 and 8 meetings. Now, let me just retract the most of the drafting. Here's how he described it in testimony. He said that he would dictate his points to Tristin, and then Tristin, most of the time, for Bird & Bird, would write it out to make it more clear and structure the 1,000-page Madden report. Over 1,000 pages, the Madden report was. Giant, huge report. 500 documents submitted by Wright. So, massive report. So we dictate the points, and then Tristin would basically articulate them in a legal structure according to the Madden testimony to the court. Mr. Orr asked him, he said, well, do you understand the importance of being impartial in this case? I mean, don't you have a staff, an assistant, an administrator that you can do this with? Well, I don't like doing it that way, he says. I prefer to work by myself, and it was more convenient to work with the law firm Bird & Bird. I'd just go into their office 3 or 4 times, and then he got called out later that he also had Bird & Bird, which is Tristin, come to his office 3 or 4 times. And it wasn't just for a high and buy, it was a work session. This is potentially an all-day work session where they're there. So that's a total of 6 to 8 days where they're spending together working on the Madden report, and Bird & Bird is writing it up according to the points that Mr. Madden was testifying to. Big no. Copa, what the heck are you doing? This is an absolute huge error. Well, I wouldn't say an error. It's, this shouldn't happen. I mean, there's this sort of thing could go on summary judgment where, like, if the reports were not being considered, and I'm sorry, Mr. Madden wasn't being cross-examined by Orr for the right side, and he's sitting there just, not getting into the subject matter of, well, did you write this report? Oh, well, no, I didn't really write the report. Someone else did. Oh, okay. Huh. So none of this, oh, yeah, that's mine. I wrote that part, but this part wasn't. Oh, wait, what? So it was okay. Like, if somebody wrote it from his staff, he's got an independent office with an administrator, a secretary, a paralegal, or whatever he's hiring on his own. But he's in the office with Bird & Bird 3 to 4 times, and then Bird & Bird's Tristin guys come into his office 3 to 4 times. That's on the record now, and I'm not sure how they're going to get that out. Quickly, Jonathan Hoff got up with a couple rebuttal statements on that we're just trying to drill for Copa to kind of like drill in on a couple points. But it was pretty clear that Mr. Orr for Wright rested. And now here's the key point to recognize: Wright's expert witness. Now this is kind of gauge where you think the Wright legal team's at right now. All right, Wright's rebuttal expert witness, not the new guy, as far as I know, it wasn't the new guy, but I think it's Mr. Bryant, was going to come in and testify today. He's there in the courtroom, ready to go. After the Madden testimony, they submitted. They stipulated, they submitted, they said, we don't need to bring forward Mr. Bryant. First of all, Mr. Bryant was probably a weak expert anyways, because he was the one that was apparently hired by Mr. Edgar Hansen and came forward and could be compromised, definitely complicated. Didn't sound like he had a lot of value, but at the same time, he probably had some value. And for them to completely submit on the merits of the Madden report with no rebuttal evidence now, so consider it like the court's going to have a hard time considering this Bryant stuff at all. He didn't come forward because Copa never got a chance to cross-examine him. So, because he never got called. So, I would consider that. I'm not 1,000% sure on how the rules work there, but in rules of evidence, normally, if that guy, Madden, he brings something in, the other side's expert needs to counter it, and he's got to come forward and be cross-examined by both parties. They waived the right. So either Dr. Wright's attorneys made an absolute fumble, and they fumble the ball at the 1-yard line right now, okay? And they're getting sacked and just absolutely just fumbling, and they have no idea what they're doing. They're literally, that's the one possibility. They're just throwing the case away. Or they're so confident on the testimony they got today from Mr. Madden that they don't even want to waste time bringing in Bryant. It's pointless at this point. They're going to impeach Mr. Madden and completely strike his credibility. He's not impartial at all, and they've got that on the record. And what he said was also a couple of key points that he mentioned was his qualifications were minimal on the certifications. He had a Microsoft certification and a couple of other small certifications. He's not a doctor, which I mean, not that he has to be, but to do this massively complex forensic report on the level objecting to the stuff that Wright's bringing in, you know, you would think that Copa would want to bring in a serious heavyweight expert with a lot of certifications, and that just didn't happen. So not only does it, you know, it apparently the Dr. Wright's side, like I said, is more likely than not so confident in right now in the case that they waived their right to the expert on the rebuttal evidence. That's my interpretation of it from what I'm seeing right now. So this is a win, a huge win for Wright today, and a big, fumbling the ball from Copa, in my opinion. Now, again, the only possibility is that Wright's attorneys or solicitors are so bad they just literally fumble. I'm just not seeing that, though. They're too smart. I don't think they just are making an error here. They're clearly confident in the testimony they got from Madden. And that being said, it's definitely going to go to Wright. So I'm just going to kind of reevaluate today. I had it at 7-7. I had it at 7-7, and I was just waiving the first day, which was our very first day because there wasn't any testimony. I'm just going to bring it back up to 8-8 now, according that it would be the first day would have gone to. Wait a second. First day would have gone. It would have 7-7, so it would be 8-7. Right? We could actually 8-7. Right is what it would be right now on day 15, day 16. I'm sorry, day 16. The first day we didn't really count the score, even though it could have went to Wright. So I will just say 8-7 right now for Wright on day 15, but it's a huge win. This could be very detrimental to Copa. This may not be, it's going to be hard to recover. Now, I want to clarify a couple things that the court did mention on the examination on Friday, and that was that Copa is the claimant. There's a lot of back and forth on that. Oh, Copa's not the claimant. They're a defendant or something. No, they're not. They're the claimant, okay? That's just, Wright is a claimant against PTC Core. Okay, but that's separate. Copa is the claimant on this. So it's just their burden now is just, we'll see what the court does. I mean, Madden's really got to come forward on that and be credible because, proving all these allegations of forgery and fraud, there can't be any doubt in the court's mind. Like, well, if there's any doubt on fraud, forget it. Ain't going to happen. It's a high standard to meet the elements of these forgery allegations. Very high standard. And there cannot be any doubt at all. And Wright today just put a massive amount of doubt on the expert witness, Mr. Madden. So we'll go ahead and regroup tomorrow, but it looks like today's going to be a big win for the Dr. Wright side. And going forward which is a big surprise because I honestly, I was thinking like today was going to be huge for Copa. I thought for sure they were going to slam it today, but he made some fatal admissions on the stand and did a good job on Mr. Orr cross-examining him. So be sure to subscribe. Connor Murray's coming up on Wednesday. I've got a couple of other interviews scheduled right now. I'm trying to think of who I've got. The Jack Pitts one was a huge success. People seem to really like it. I only saw a little bit of trolling and negativity. But that was very minimal. Jack Pitts, man, he just really killed it. I wanted to give him the floor and get his message out there because he has really not been heard too often. And what a heck of an interview it was. There's an encore coming from Jack Pitts as well. Some people have already found it, but there is an encore interview, and it's freaking really, really, really important. So I will be publishing that rather soon, probably not till the weekend. But stand by for the Connor Murray stuff. BSV Association, he's going to talk all about some of the new changes and updates to what they're doing, and we're gonna recap from there. So be sure to subscribe, make a comment, share this video, get the message out there about what's going on with this case. And this is going to be a big win today for Wright. And I'm being objective here. I'm not just saying that because I want Wright to, no, I'm not, I don't care what side you're on. Madden, Copa really blew it today. So big win for Wright. I'll see everybody at the top. This is Gavin Mehl.